All right, so now we've got the push-up depth drop. Okay, so this one probably is a little bit more difficult. Takes a little bit more practice to get efficient at it. Um, and for this one, I definitely would not jump straight into this movement. The regular depth drop we just talked about, that one anyone can do. You could be a 6-year-old and do it pretty easily. This, I would make sure you have had some experience with the ISO Extreme push-up before getting into this, just because it's it's a movement that's not super natural feeling if you haven't already practiced that position. You're going to be putting a lot of force through the pecs, through the shoulder, everything. So, just from a safety perspective, build up to this. You would not want to go straight into this without having done some homework with the ISO Extremes with the push-up first. But basically, these boxes right here are 12 inches. I've played around with it. I'd say anywhere from 10 to 15 inch box is going to be a good range for height. I'm doing these from a kneeling position. You can do higher or lower boxes and also elevate the back feet as well, or knees if you're kneeling. Basically, you're just trying to find a position so that when you get into that bottom of the push-up position, you're relatively parallel to the ground with the torso. So obviously, like I said, I'm going to have my knees down, so it's going to be slightly elevated, but there's enough clearance where I'm not going to smack my face on the ground. Okay, so 12-inch boxes for me, and basically you're going to go in a tall kneeling position. So I've got my toes digging into the ground, hips forward, completely upright as tall as I can be, trying to have everything relaxed to start. And then essentially you are falling forward, catching yourself right at the bottom. Once again, like I said, you're going to want to practice the ISO Extreme position first, because the you can do this exercise really poorly or really well, and I'd say it comes from practice with that bottom position. So what we're looking for is not to make contact and resist that fall into gravity. What we're trying to do is pull our arms back as we're making contact, so that we're ending in that end position with everything already pre-stretched and then making contact. So um, I can show a crappy version and then a better version, but just keep in mind you are trying to get to that end range. Um, and then the actual position of it, like I said, is going to be the same as the ISO Extreme. So what we're looking for is going to be basically the bottom position. I'm just going to show you real quick. You're going to be all the way down. Preferably, you're going to have elbows pointed up towards the ceiling, completely vertical with the forearms. You're lengthened through the pecs. You're squeezing on the backside, trying to pull shoulder blades towards each other, and you're in this position here at the bottom of the rack. So, obviously, with this being a drop rather than just the ISO Extreme, you're not going to already be in that position. You're going to start here, you're falling, catching, but you're pulling into that bottom position when you make contact. Okay, so let me show you a bad one first, and then I'll show the good one. Okay, so show that again one more time. So notice on that one, that was the bad example. I made contact with my hands pretty far in front of me, and I kind of hit the boxes and then slowly lowered myself to the bottom position. So same end result, but totally different intentions, totally different result. Um, the amount of force going through the body is very minimal. What I want is, what I'm about to show you here, is, like we said, you're hitting already pre-stretched. Okay, so let me show you that real quick. Okay. Same idea as with the regular depth drop. Um, you're just trying to be firm when you make that contact. So find the position you want to be in. Ideally, it's going to be in range. But when you make contact, it shouldn't be hit and then slowly sink into it. It's you're hitting in that bottom position already. Okay. And I didn't say it already, but for these, if you're doing it kneeling, definitely find a pad, a towel, something for the knees. And then eventually you can work up to a standing version, which once again would not recommend right away. But that's it for this one. We'll go ahead and move on to the third one.